In 2018, I spent 6 months straight in Mexico, and I spent $3,000 total in 6 months. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. When I was 41 years old, I quit my job as a hospital pharmacy technician to travel the world for a year on my savings. It's now a few years later, and I'm still traveling full time. I'm doing an entire series called Grown Up Gap Year from A to Z, where I'm telling you everything you need to know to plan and take your own grown up gap year. Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and make sure that you ring the notification bell so that you get notified when I post a new video. Today I'm going to tell you my favorite tips on how I travel long-term affordably. And make sure you stay to the end of the video because I am definitely saving the best for last. The first question people always ask me when I tell them what I did is, how much? How much did it cost? I spent 12 months traveling to 12 different countries, and I did it for $1,200 or less every month. However, that was 2015 when I was a little bit new to the game. In 2018, I spent 6 months straight in Mexico, and I spent $3,000 total in 6 months. Tip number one is to pick inexpensive destinations. When I started out on my grown-up gap year, I made sure to put Southeast Asia heavily on my itinerary because Southeast Asia is very inexpensive. My original budget was to spend about $40 per day, and that's easy to do in a lot of Southeast Asia: Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines. But Southeast Asia isn't the only place to go if you're on a budget. A lot of Central and South America is inexpensive. In North America, Mexico is very cheap. So you just want to focus on the inexpensive places. It doesn't mean that you have to skip over the pricey stuff. The Caribbean. Some of the Caribbean is expensive, or Western Europe, for example, and like Australia, because even I visited Australia during the year. So it doesn't mean that you skip those places, but you want to focus your attention, focus the bulk of your time on a place where you can get more for your money. Vaga Brothers has a video called 31 Insanely Affordable Budget Travel Destinations to Visit Now. And I'll put the link to that in the description box as well. That is a good place to start to find out where you can stretch your dollars further. I also do a lot of research on Numbeo.com and Nomadlist just to check out what people are paying for things wherever they go. But don't let those sites be the end-all be-all in terms of determining how cheap or expensive a place is, because you can always get there and stay there cheaper than what's listed on those sites. Tip number two on how to travel long-term affordably is to fly less. A lot of people have, if you have a summer off, or you maybe have 4 or 5 months to take some time and hit up all the destinations you want to hit up, the inclination is to go from city to city like every 2 or 3 days, but that's just more expensive. If you have the time to take your time in a place, everything is cheaper. The accommodations are cheaper. You can pay for a place to stay for a longer period of time. So instead of booking an Airbnb for 2 or 3 days in a bunch of different cities, maybe book an Airbnb for an entire month. Get that discount for a long-term rental instead of going from place to place. Speaking of which, I've made for you a list of 50 cities where you can Airbnb for less than $500 per month. The link, of course, is in the description box. It's another good place to start doing a little research if you're thinking about taking a grown-up gap year. Part two of tip two, which is to fly less, is to take the bus. Seriously, take the slower route. Take the bus, take the train. In Europe, honestly, it's within Europe, especially like France and Germany, and it's probably cheaper actually to fly, but in the rest of the world it's much cheaper to take slower transportation and let your dollars stretch further. Tip number three on how to travel long-term affordably is to work while you're traveling. A lot of people that I've met while I was out taking my own gap year were actually working part-time. Teaching English online is very, very popular. I'll put a couple of links description box to some apps that let you teach English online, or tutor. I guess it's more like tutoring people in English online. A lot of these companies are Chinese, and they have Chinese students. Some are children, some are working adults who want practice with their English, and they can pay up to $20 an hour. The best ones require you to have a college degree and be a native English speaker, but there are others too. They didn't have a college degree requirement. But being an English tutor is not the only way to make money while you travel. Some people are able to work freelance. For example, I started freelance writing while I was traveling. I actually wish I had started earlier. I didn't start until after my gap year. I came back home, back to work, and then started thinking, you know, I need to figure out a way to be able to go again. And that's when I started freelance writing. I started through Upwork, which is like a glorified Fiverr, but there are a lot of other choices out there for freelance writing. So if you'd like me, or freelance work in general, so if you'd like me to do a video dedicated to how to start freelancing while you're traveling, let me know in the comments, and I'll go ahead and get that out for you. Tip number 4 on how to take a gap year affordably. Tip number 4 is to volunteer while you travel in exchange for free room and board. I did this. I volunteered through a site called Workaway. Again, I'll put the link in the box. And I did it actually in 2 different countries, 3 different cities. I did it in Australia twice and once in Cambodia. It's really the reason that I got to spend almost 2 months in Australia, because it's not a budget-friendly place any other way. But through Workaway, and there are other sites, and I'll list a couple down there. HelpX and Woof are also popular. Through Workaway, I volunteered as a demi-pair for a family in Gold Coast, Australia, which is on the East Coast. Really beautiful beaches there. My job was to get the kids up and dressed and ready for school, give them breakfast, pack their lunch, and drive the carpool. For that, the family gave me a free place to stay for my entire time, and every meal. They fed me every meal. All meals were included, and they also let me use their car, which was pretty cool. And I practiced driving on the left like a champ. So I had a fantastic experience with Workaway. I also had a not so fantastic experience in Cambodia, but that had more to do with me just not picking the right one, you know, with me just totally disregarding totally disregarding the reviews that the man already had on Workaway. I wouldn't do that again, but I will totally do a work exchange again. Work exchanges are a great way also to meet other travelers, because quite a few of the work exchanges have more than one volunteer at a time, and also a great way to meet a new family while you're there. Some of the work exchanges are with families like the ones that I did, and some of them are like for businesses or schools or farms or, you know, whatever. And so you'll meet local people, be working and volunteering alongside them. So I totally recommend work exchanges as a way to travel affordably by volunteering in exchange for free room and board. All right, tip number 5 for how to travel affordably during your grown-up gap year is to house sit. It's my favorite tip. It's what I do now. It's what I actually introduced myself as a professional house sitter. It is easy to get into and easy to do mostly, and you can do it all over the world. I started house sitting through a site called Trusted House Sitters, and again, you know the drill. I'll put the link in the description box. But I don't only house sit through them. With Trusted House Sitters, your house sits are unpaid. You're just house sitting in exchange for a free place to stay. But once I get to a city or a town, this is what I did in Mexico, I become a free agent. And someone that I house sit for refers me to someone else. They pass me around to other people. I charge them because it's not through Trusted House Sitters. I decide whether or not to charge them. It usually depends on what the house sit involves. Most of the house sits that I've done, all but one of the house sits that I've done in the 3 or 4 years that I've been house sitting, involve taking care of pets. But there are house sits that don't involve pets. It depends on the location and how long the person is traveling away for, right? So while they're on vacation, I stay in their home, I take care of their home, and I take care of their pets. If they're gone for in a super extended period of time, or if they have a large number of pets, I can charge them. But if it's just, a short house sit, or if it's, like one cat, then I don't charge them. I actually had a house sit where the cat let himself in and out through the cat door and did not use a litter box. Went outside to do cat things. And he had a timer for his food, and he had a water, like a fountain type water thing. So I really they didn't need me. They didn't need a house sitter in the house. The cat Brian was super independent, but they didn't mind having a stranger in their home while they were gone. And this was outside of York in the United Kingdom in England. I spent almost 2 weeks there. It was wonderful. The bus stop was right across the street from the house, so I got to hang out in their little village in the countryside, and I got to take the bus into town because Brian the cat did not care if I was home or not. So house sitting is my favorite tip on how to travel affordably. I'll put a link in the box if you want to get more information from me on how to get started house sitting. Holla at your girl. But go ahead and click on that link, and I'll send you some info on how to get started. House sitting is a way to cut down significantly on your travel costs, but it also could be a way to make money at the same time while you're traveling. Those are my 5 tips on how to take a grown-up gap year affordably. This is an A to Z series, so make sure that you have subscribed to my channel and that you've hit the notification bell so that you'll see when I post the next video. I'm posting a video every day in June.
Those are my 5 tips on how to take a